Alright guys, hey, what's up? Going on? This is Ito Speaks back again with another video. So now in this part of the series of LeBron James Fanbase's Toxic Chapter 2, I want to go into more depth about the sports media, aka LeMedia, and how they contribute to the toxicity of LeBron James' narrative and propaganda. The sports media has been fawning over LeBron James for over 20 plus years in high school since he was a big phenomenon coming out of St. Mary High School and then getting drafted to the Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team in 2003. Throughout LeBron James' career, he's been media savvy in how he's been portrayed in the media, doing his best to have a squeaky clean image of being a model citizen and a proper role model for kids. And also, LeBron James has played media games where he likes to move like a government politician by having alleged paid sports media plans sprinkled throughout the sports networks just to try and control the narrative of how the NBA career and how it's viewed from his fanboys and the NBA fans at large. So that's where the media comes in, playing all this when it comes to LeBron James and the toxicity of how coverage in the sports media is. In all my years of watching the NBA, I've never seen a basketball player outside of Michael Jordan get this much sports media attention ever. And there has been great players that have graced the NBA floor, but they've never got the same media coverage and attention as LeBron James has, nowhere near close. Whether you are watching First Take, Undisputed, Up, First Things First, The Herd, and more, best believe there will be topics regarding LeBron James and whatever team he's on for the moment, because we already know LeBron James likes to run and switch teams when it's not beneficial for him to win a title or if he doesn't have enough quote-unquote help. Most of the TV networks glorify LeBron James to no end and rarely, if ever, give any criticism if he has a bad game or misses game-winning shots and costs his team the game by not coming up big in the clutch. The sports media puppets will make excuses by talking about his stat line, or how he didn't have enough help from his teammates, blaming the head coach if something doesn't go right, blaming the referee saying LeBron James is not getting any foul calls, usually scapegoating the third or sometimes the second best player on the team, constantly throwing them under the bus at all turns just to protect their quote-unquote king LeBron James. Side note, I understand that LeBron James is one of the biggest stars in sports. I perfectly understand that, and ever since high school, when he was dubbed the chosen one, quote unquote the chosen one, and was on cover of Sports Illustrated magazine, he had a lot of pressure on him to live up to the billing, and he has lived up to the hype after being drafted #1 overall in 2003. To be completely honest, he far exceeded the hype by having a historical career. In my personal opinion, a top 10 player of all time, to say the least. But when it comes to the sports media coverage of him, it gets tiresome after so many years of sports media talking about him, covering him every single day, even when it's off season or when he's not in the playoffs. And then they stay trying to find ways to insert him in the NBA conversation, even when there's no need to at all, and that's what makes the sports media toxic. Now, I'm pretty sure most people are aware who are sports savvy that of the sports landscape know that LeBron James has alleged paid plants media puppets in the sports network, spewing propaganda and sports narrative about LeBron James, talking about him in a more favorable light to the masses of the NBA community and fan base alike. Also make a contrived pre-planned narrative, aka excuses, for when he succeeds and accomplishes a great feat or when he falls short of his goal, ultimately winning an NBA Finals. When doing so, it serves as red meat for his already die-hard LeBron James fanboys in the everyday walk of life. It also serves as ammunition for his critics that see right through his facade of his bogus narratives that are propagated for his sports media fanboys on TV networks. I don't need to name anyone in particular for this chapter. You know who they are. if you're perceptive and not a gullible mindless sheep. They each are going to get their own separate chapter detail much of a toxic fanboy they are in their own unique way. Add to the toxicity of LeBron James fanboy for LeBron James. Side note, I want to state I don't have any personal gripes or issues with the alleged paid sports media puppets on these sports TV networks working to promote LeBron James' image in the media. I'm not saying that they're bad people, not at all. I'm just saying they are bought and paid for, and you can see that unless you're a brainwashed LeBron James toxic fanboy. So when that is the case as regards to these talking heads on TV, it's best to not take their takes seriously only for entertainment value, because by the end of the day, they are just a conglomerate of funny trolls on TV being clowns based on the crazy outlandish quote-unquote takes that they have just to go viral and have hot takes. I completely understand that they are a business by the end of the day and are going to do what's best to drive ratings for the company and get as many clicks, eyeballs as they can. I understand LeBron James is our lightning rod whenever he's a topic of discussion on these debate shows or social media platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok, in addition to podcasts as well. If you are a TV sports personality and you are talking NBA, then 99% chance LeBron James is going to be a topic of discussion for a vast majority of the show. And they talk about the other star players in the league and how they revolve around LeBron James as if he's the only player in the league that matters. It's a shame because when it comes down to it, that a lot of these NBA or sports analysts in the media are in LeBron James' pocket, quote unquote, make it hard to take them seriously as a sports personality, because we as the viewer don't know if this is their honest take or biased perspective to protect LeBron. So they end up losing credibility in the public eye because they are looked at as phony talking heads with the contrived agenda given to them by LeBron James' camp to regurgitate to the NBA community at large. My next point. When it comes to the toxic LeBron James fanboy media talking heads on TV or podcasts, speak about LeBron James as if it's always about him possibly winning another title, and then talk about the other players around the league. Whether it's a star player being a threat to him winning another title or a star player possibly joining him to win a title so he could get all the credit when they win and none of the blame when he fails, it goes on like that in a cycle through the NBA season and sometimes the off season. Once that happens, the sports media narrative and storylines are allegedly pre-planned. There always has to be a story to put LeBron James in a good light. Whether he succeeds or fails, that's when the toxic fanboys cue in the excuse making, such as he doesn't have enough help, he was hurt, he was playing against a super team that couldn't be beaten, even though he created his own super teams and cherry pick his teammates to stack the deck in his favor to compete. But the fanboys hate when you talk about that part. What's toxic about the LeBron James narrative is most people know, even his toxic fanboys know, it's brainwashing propaganda that they spew is contrived and pre-planned courtesy of quote-unquote clutch sports. Allegedly, but the fanboys in the sports media writ large, the masses don't care as long as they can protect and guard their precious quote-unquote king from criticism at all costs, and they will play along with the propaganda for LeBron James' storyline. Another side note. While it's obvious that LeBron James has alleged sports media puppets talking on TV, speaking glowingly of him because he is the media darling and cash cow, they are constantly making irrational excuses for him after many of his constant failures coming up short while they were propping him up as the unstoppable force in the league. It's pathetic if you ask me. While he thinks this is a good idea in theory, it hurts him in the long run because the toxic fanboy is always propping him up to be this Herculean type superhero that could defy any odds, climb any mountains no matter how high and dangerous, and succeed. But when he ultimately fails, it gives his critics double the ammunition to attack LeBron James with full force when he fails. And nobody is going to want to hear any of the excuses from his toxic fanboys because we already know there's a biased narrative, so they could end up not taking seriously as sports pundits because they are bought and paid for, allegedly. To end this chapter, I want to state that I'm not trying to slander LeBron James' name and likeness. I'm just calling out what most people see in the sports media around the NBA community. LeBron is neither good nor bad. He's a polarizing figure that people like to talk about in the mass. When it comes to the game of basketball, while doing that, he capitalized that by having to control the narrative on how people view him and speak about him, which is no go for me. Going to call it how I see it. LeBron James, I will be blinded by the allure of him and his many quote unquote blind witnesses, as Skip Bayless calls them. LeBron James moves like a politician in the sports world, telling people a bunch of fluff to his fanboys, trying to make himself more than what he is. When you are a little kid looking up to LeBron, I have no problem with that. I can see that a lot of LeBron James fan base has a good portion of young kids looking up to him as a basketball player role model. But when grown men are idolizing this man as some sort of deity godlike figure or Iron Man superhero, it gets cringy and annoying to watch as a fan of the sport overall. Having his fans that are grown adults older than myself act this way, especially on these TV networks, is just seen as toxic.